Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. Guys, I'm going to be launching a ledge system. A very good ledge system. I think you guys are going to like it. I'm going to post the build as soon as the refinements are done. So that everyone can play it and test it out on their own to see if you find any bugs. So if you find any bugs on the ledge system, that I'm going to be posting it for everyone to play and test it out. If you find any bugs, then contact me. You can contact me so that I can be able to fix the bug that you guys find. But I think it's going to be very hard because I've made the system to be pretty much refined. So in this devlog stream, I'm going to fix some bugs. The first one is when you pick up the rifle. As you can see, we have the IK, but then when you pick up any item, I think it's the ammo items. But if you pick it up, as you can see, the character is going to still hold the rifle, and then it's going to cause that bug. As you can see, that doesn't look great. So that's the bug that I'm going to fix. I've already wrote it down. So fix pickup item while holding rifle or any other weapon that has IK enabled. So let's say, for example, you have the IK for the pistol. As the pistol doesn't have any IK yet, when we pick up the ammo, it still looks good. But the rifle, as we have the IK enabled and we don't have any option to turn it off while picking up the ammo yet, the character picks up the ammo with both arms, and that doesn't look great. So we're going to be fixing that as well. Hello, Amir Tishkensky. Hello. In the chat. Let me know if you guys want to see the dodge animation in this project right here. I think it's going to be very interesting, very cool to see the character dodging, playing the dodge animations. We're also going to add the weapon, the handgun IK, for, as you already have for the rifle, we can add it to the pistol as well. As you can see, when you aim, as you can see, the left hand. Let me just go game animation sample. Let me just get the pistol. We're going to also add the IK for the handgun or pistol, whatever you can call it. So the left arm can be attached to the handgun as well. As it doesn't happen in here, as you can see, it's very separated. As you can see, the line trace, it looks like it's tilted to the right. It's rotated to the right, but that's the perspective you have when you're aiming with the pistol like this, as you can see. It's tilted a little bit to the left, as you can see, like the actual handgun. But the line trace, I think it's going to make sense to put it a little bit to the right, so that when you aim, it makes sense. It goes directly to the place that you're aiming. The other thing that I want to add to this project here is that when you shoot with the rifle, there is no animation, there is no shooting effect animation for the character when he's shooting. So when you shoot once, as you can see, the character just stands still, doesn't react to the to the impact of the weapon. Also, when you reload, there is no... Yeah, I didn't finish the reload system, I think. Let me just test it out again. Olá, seu bom dia, bom dia. As you can see, when I try to reload, let me just debug this. Reload. Yeah, that's weird. But when you shoot, there is no actual shooting effect that happens when you shoot with the handgun. As you can see, the armor of the character, it goes up as the recoil happens. So that's the same thing that we want to try to do on for the rifle. That's going to look cool. So let's try to at least fix the pickup item while holding rifle. This one, so that we have this one fixed. So when you pick up the rifle and pick up the ammo, the character picks up with both arms. I'm not sure if that's a necessary like priority bug right now, but let me see what else we have. Oh yeah, the other bug that we have in here, I've just remembered, is fix ability to be able to pick up more arrow ammo for the bow. So at this current moment, we have the ability to place the arrows in the ground, as you can see right here. So when you press play, they are dropped into the ground. Let me just put my character a little bit further. So as you can see, those arrows are placed on the ground. You can duplicate them, but the bug that I'm talking about is that if you duplicate them and try to pick it up, it's not going to actually go into the back end. It doesn't actually get registered in the backend, even if you pick it up. So let's just demonstrate that real quick. So if you spend all the arrows that you have in the weapon, and now as you can see on the holster, the character's holster, there is no arrows in there, but as soon as you pick up just one, as you can see that appears in there. That's the arrow that you picked up. Now you can pick up once again, as you can see there's two. Now once again. Now as you can see there's no arrows appears in here, and that's a problem. That's a bug that we have to fix for this one. As you can see right now, as the camera is attached to the spine 01 to the character, it gives the impression that the camera is just following the motion of the character, which is what's happening right now. So the camera right now is following the spine of the character, spine 01. And that spine is right over here. Let me just show the bones. Character, bones, all hierarchy. So if you search for spine 01, so it's basically the camera is attached and is following the whatever location and rotation the spine bone is. So as soon as the character runs, the camera follows the motion. So if you crouch, as you can see the camera, it's much smoother. I like the motion of the camera. It's very much responsive because it follows exactly that spine 01. You can even debug this to see the bones if you want to. And that's really good when the character is running, for example. As you can see, the camera shakes a little bit. But if you don't have that, if the camera only follows the capsule, for example. Let me just do that real quick. I don't remember where it is. But just click on the X in here. So that's going to detach it from the parent socket of the spine 01. So I'm going to just reset these values and put it right over here. And when you compile and save, you're gonna go to the v4 as well. I'm not sure why the viewport disappeared, so but if it disappears, you're going to go to Window and Viewport. So that shows it for you. Now here I'm going to just reset the location. So when you reset the location, it's going to follow the same location as it is in the parent. And I'm going to just place it a little bit up so that it makes more sense. So as you can see now, when you run or sprint, in this case the character is sprinting, as you can see the camera does not have that much motion, and that causes it to be a little bit more precise because the camera is not shaking too much. I'm not sure why the character is snapping a little bit. I think it's because of the IK. I think it's because of the IK. I've changed it a little bit. Let me just go to that leg foot IK layer, and I have a backup in case something happens. So let me just see if that happens again. Yeah, I think it fixed. This one I was testing with the letters. So if you place a letter in here, let me just get the shapes. Go to letter. I think it's letter. Recent, basic. Where's the letter? Shapes. I have no idea where it is. Geometry. Yeah. So you can get a linear stair. Yeah, it's a stair. It's not a letter. What GASP? Oh yeah, this one is GASP 5.5, 5.5.4. I'm going to increase the length. Let me just step width. I'm going to increase the width. This is just a test to test how the IK is going to behave when going upstairs, which is really important. Number of steps. I want to increase the length, but I don't want to change the step height, the height. Here you go. Number of steps without changing the height or length. All right. So as you can see, when you go upstairs with the original foot placement, that comes by default in the GASP. As you can see, it's too much snappy. When you go upstairs, but it works great. Let me just see how it behaves when you're detaching the camera. So as you can see, it is still snappy. But the good part about this is that the character really snaps to the ground. And I like that. But the only problem is that the character is just too much snappy. It shakes too much. But now if you use this node right here. Let me just connect that. Compile, save. Press play again. And then test it out. It is still snappy. But if you just walk, let me just, where's the walk mode? If you just walk, I think it's okay. I think you can just reduce the number of, or increase the length of the steps, maybe. As you can see, it is still a little bit snappy, but it's less. It's less snappy. But if you just walk, I think it's perfect. You can just increase the length of the stairs if you don't mind. Yeah. I think it works great. So if I use the backup foot placement that comes by default, let me just write it down. Default GASP settings. It's very good to see results like this because it inspires you to keep working and doing more things. As you can see on the default GASP, with the default GASP settings for the foot placement, as you can see, it's very snappy, even if you walk. So the ideal solution to fix this is going to be, I'm going to show you guys how to fix that, because so that we can just fix this bug right away. Let's fix that bug. So I'm going to place this a little bit in here. I'm going to add a text just to text render actor. I'm going to increase the font, the size of the font. So size, let's say 50. Let's just rotate it 180 degrees. Then for the text, we're going to write it to be lighter test, not lighter, stair test. There we go. So what we can do, I have to add a very important information here, which is the number, the exact setting of the length, which is 36. You can add more, I think. Let me just increase this a little bit. So step length is going to be 46. I'm going to add that information here. It's very important. Step length 36. I think that's the only important information that you can add in here. The other settings doesn't really matter. You can just leave it to be default to work. And then I think I can create I'm gonna try to create a new, let me just try to think a little bit in here. I think the best way to do this would be with the trigger box, so that you can add any stairs, and then just place that trigger box so that we can switch the foot placement node. So disable one and enable the other, so that I think it's better. Hello, Morningstar. What's up? All right, so the thing that we're going to want to do in here is just switch between the foot placement that makes the character to walk smooth on the stairs. And if the character is not walking on the stairs, then we're going to switch the foot placement. I think that's the best way we can handle this. And then we can basically place a box so that it identifies if the character... So if the character leaves that box, that collision box, which is going to go between from here to here, just adjust the length. So if the character is inside that box, we're going, based on that condition, if it's true or not, we're going to switch the alpha values in here. Smoothly, I think. I think it's better to change it smoothly. So I'm going to write it down to be backup for, not backup, but foot placement for stairs. Smooth for stairs. So this setting in here, smooth with placement for stairs, the default value is going to be 0. It's always going to be 0. So I'm going to press on play. It's going to be disabled. And now we're just going to have to find a way to change those values. But I think we don't really necessarily need to create a variable in here. I think we can create it now on the inside the character blueprint directly, not in here. Ricardo Batista, hello. What's up? So what I'm gonna do is just copy. Yeah, I can basically copy that variable, those two variables. So I'm going to start with this one. Copy that to be in here. Copy paste. That worked. And then copy paste this variable in here as well. Compile, save. And then what we can do, we can delete these variables right here. Compile. Delete this once. Delete. And then we can get the property access. Get the sandbox character. And then get the alpha value that we just created there. So we're going to firstly get the FP stairs for this one. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Get property access, sandbox character. And then alpha FP normal. So what we're going to want to try to do in here is just basically make the character to go smooth on when he's walking on the ladders. So as you can see, the IK works great if you put something like this, just a step for him to place test the foot IK. Go to it. As you can see, works great. No problem. But when you go on the stairs, as you can see, it's not smooth. So you want to basically switch this alpha values. So when the character is walking on the stairs, we're going to set this alpha value to be... Wait, I forgot to set the alpha FP normal has to be 1 and the FP stairs has to be 0. Okay, I'll already copy it as well, the default value. So that's great. So it's just, you're going to use one or the other. So if the character is walking on the stairs, the alpha value is going to be 1. If the character is just normally walking on the ground, it's going to be 1 in here and 0 in here. If the character is walking on the stairs, it's going to be 1 in here and 0 in here. So you just gotta set those values in here. So that's going to read it and place it here. So you're going to go to the event graph. Well, basically what we can do for creating the trigger box, which is going to change those values, we're going to create a new blueprint class. It's going to be actor. And then let's name it to be blueprint stairs foot IK. We're going to just drag it into the world and we're going to double click on that blueprint and then add the trigger box in here. So box collision or trigger box, whatever you can call it. We're going to select the collision presets. Normally I put everything to be overlap. Oh, actually, I want to just overlap with the character, so let me check the settings, sandbox character settings. If it overlaps with the capsule, the capsule object type is pawn. Let me check it out on the UE4 mannequin. The capsule of the UE4 mannequin is pawn as well. So I only want that box trace to detect the pawn object types. So I'm going to ignore everything and only overlap the pawn. I think that's gonna be a lot better. And collision enabled is going to be query only. I don't want physics, because if it has physics, then the character can collide with this box. So that's not what I want. The object type can be set to be or dynamic, or I could create a new object type and set it to be, I don't know, something like I could create a new object type and name it to be trigger box for IK on stairs. Something like this, but I'm going to keep it war dynamic for now. If you have any bugs, like maybe you're shooting and it collides with this box, so that's one case that we have a problem, because the object type is detecting the war dynamic, and so that the line trace would be able to detect that. I'm going to make it to not be hidden in the game, and I'm going to increase the thickness so that we can see better in the world. So that, as you can see, this box is appearing there. Let me just try to get the weapon and try to see if the aiming detects that kind of box. Okay, it doesn't detect, so that's great. But in here I have an error, I'm not sure why. Range. I think we're gonna have to add a. Just check if the actor is valid before executing it. So if it's valid, if it's not valid, I'm going to print string and you get the other component reference to. So reference is not valid, and we're going to print out what that component is. So print. I'm going to name it to be the print string. I'm going to set the text color to be red. And then I'm just going to try to see if the error is going to appear again. Oh, okay. So when it hits the stairs, as you can see, the reference is not valid, blah, blah, blah. Hitting stairs. So node model component, blah, blah, blah. So that's good. So in case if you want to add like sound effects or impact effects for the stairs, we can do it here. So we can add a new tag to that stair. So what you're going to do, just click on that stair and add a tag. We're going to add a new tag in here. So let's say stairs, so that if those stairs can be colliding with the, so in case if the player shoots the stairs, is going to play a sound effect. But you can, let's say we want to make, let's say the stairs is metal. So you can just add a tag of metal in here, so that when you pick up the weapon, it's going to be metal. Reference is not valid. Yeah, I'm not sure about stairs. I'm not sure how the collision of the stairs work. I've never used stairs in here, so we can let that to be fixed later, no problem. So shooting at stairs is not possible right now. All right, so we're going to just set the scale of that box to be the same size as it is in the stairs. So I'm going to do it like this, match the angle. There you go. Now we just need to make that box, that trigger box to detect the character. So when the character overlaps that box, we're going to disable or enable the alpha, the IK. We're going to basically switch switch it in the back end, which is going to work great. So here on the blueprint on the box, I think I'm going to make that box to be the new root, or maybe it's not needed. Yeah, I think it's not needed. You can let it as it is. On component begin overlap, we're going to add a new one. And I'm going to also add a new node for the end overlap. So those events are triggered when the character overlaps or enters or leaves or leave the character, the box. Let me just print a string to see if that box is detecting the character. So other actor, press play, let me just save. Okay, it's detecting. So as you can see, when I enter the box, it detects that the character has entered inside the box. When I leave, I want to also print a string, so other actor. I want to see which actor left that box. So when I leave, it tells me which character has left the box. So all I'm going to do is check if... well, I'm going to get the actor... I'm going to cast to sandbox character. Sandbox character, so cast to CBP. This. Let me see if I can add a timeline in here. Timeline. I think it's better to add a timeline in the... No, I think it's whatever. In the sandbox character. I'm gonna add a timeline in here. So add timeline. Let's say change alpha values. Change food IK alpha values. This will change. Yeah, I think this timeline should be set in the character so that we don't have to cast. I think it's better. So sandbox character, I'm going to create a new graph for, because that's not related to any kind of weapon or any other ability locomotion that the character has. This is just for making the character to smoothly walk on the stairs. So I'm going to add a new graph in here, and this is going to be called, someone's calling. Wait. I don't want to answer. All right, so this is going to be weapon AK. Not weapon AK, stairs. Smooth stair. Smooth stair AK. So in here, I'm just going to paste the logic that I've placed in there. And here I'm going to type set alpha, set food IK alpha. For the timeline, I'm going to set the length of I think 23 milliseconds. I think it's a good value for now. I'm going to set a linear curve. And then what I'm going to do is just set those values. Actually, what I'm going to do is do something different. Instead of using two alpha values, I'm going to just use one. I'm going to delete this one, and alpha FP stairs slash, no, just leave it to be FP stairs. So food IK. So food IK stairs, and then I set it to be in here. Then just leave it there. Now I'm going to copy the timeline name, go back to the PP stairs food IK. I'm going to just, out of this pin, I'm going to get the timeline. And this is the reference of that timeline. So you can decide to start, stop, do all those events through by getting the reference of this timeline in here. So this reference is of this timeline in here. So you can, for example, play from start. It's the same thing. I think what we want to do is just play just play or reverse. Whoops. Or reverse, depending if the character has entered or has left the box. So the only thing I have to do in here is just cast to CBP. Actually, I don't need to cast as it is casting right here. So all I need to do right now is check if it matches with the sandbox character. So get player character. Let's see if I can do that. If it matches with the player character, then we can print a string saying matches. Yeah, matches. Okay. So if it matches, then we can use that reference and continue the cast. So we're going to play if the character enters the box, and we're going to reverse it if the character leaves the box. So we're going to do the same thing in here. Yeah, just copy paste. All right, all we need to check right now is just to check if the variable is being printed. So I'm just going to read that variable, and let's see. So if the character enters the box, it's going to set that value from 0 to 1 in 23 milliseconds. If the character leaves that box, is going to set it to be 0 again. So you're going to pick up that information. I don't need this one. I've deleted it, so I'm just going to delete the alpha of this one. And as you can see, when I go to that, let me just plug in the alpha in here. So as soon as I enter the box, I'm going to set it to be from 0 to 1. I think the default value is set to be 0. So if the value is 0, then I'm gonna have to do a climp. So if this value is 0, then set the alpha of the default GASP setting to be 1. So climp, I think it's map range clipped. So this value here goes from 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. So if it's 0 to 1, and if this value is 1, this one is going to be 1. And this is kind of confusing. But basically what I'm doing here is to convert this value in here, because we're going to have to enable one or the other. We cannot enable both, and we cannot disable both of them. So 1, if the alpha value here is 1, it means that this foot placement is enabled, the IK is enabled, is activated. If it's 0, it's disabled, and it works the same as this one right here. So we're going to have to choose different foot placement IKs with different settings for setting the I think there's a there are better ways of doing this. For example, here in the pelvis settings, you can choose to bind. So you can do this in there is a better way of doing this, but I'm not doing it right now because I don't know how to set that up yet. And I also want to set it up smoothly. So if I were to do with structures, I would have to specify which exact setting I want to change from this one to this one, and specify all over here on this. It's not that much difficult, but it requires a little bit of more time and attention to detail to make sure all the settings are working well. So all I'm going to do here is just plug in the alpha. So in here, if this value is 1, this node is going to convert it to be 0. And if it's the opposite, if this value is 0, then this node is going to convert it to be 1, which is going to work perfectly. I'm just going to watch this value in here. Let me just see if the values are being set correctly. So when I press play, if the character is not in the box, the normal, as you can see, the normal foot IK system is going to work, as you can see. It works very good. And when I'm in the stairs, that didn't change. Let me see why. Funny enough, it's not setting to be 1. There you go. I just had to update the values. I'm not sure why it's not being set. It looks like what I'm gonna have to do in here is to use a blend by Bool node. Even though the alpha is 0, the changes, they do not affect as we're using both nodes, the changes are not applied into here because this foot placement node is still experimental. So it's not completely finished by Epic Games in the 5.5, maybe in the 5.6 ancient version it is fixed. But it looks like what we're gonna have to do in here is just change use the blend by pulses boom. I think that's the only way. I think that's even better, to be honest. So I'm gonna try to save cache, save a new cache, and this is going to be, I don't know, after offset root bone. Just name it whatever makes sense, whatever makes more sense to you. And I'm going to use that cache, that saved cache pulse to be used in here. And then I'm going to use the other one as well. So if now, as this one requires an active value, I'm going to, instead of a float value, we're gonna have to just need just one Boolean variable. So enable foot IK stairs. I'm not sure if this is going to work. This is the first try. But it's good for you to see what's the debugging process of how it works, how it is difficult to add new things and implement new things. Enable foot IK stairs. So that's the variable that we just created. I'm going to read this variable called enable foot IK stairs I've just created in there. Sandbox character property access sandbox character. Yeah, I don't have that variable yet. I'm just going to compile save. Again, search it up, sandbox character, enable foot IK stairs. Let me just see if I could. Why is that variable not showing up? Let me just get the sandbox character first. I think it's because I'm not using any cache pulls in here. Now I can get the enable foot IK stairs and plug into the blend pulses by Bool. And then for if it's enabled, I'll just name the IK to be uppercase. IK uppercase, compile. Go back to sandbox animation blueprint. If it's enabled, then I'm going to use this one. If it's not enabled, I'm going to use this one. Let's see if this is going to work. I'm not sure if that's gonna work. I'm gonna set the true blend time to be .2 just to not be too much abrupt. Compile save, press play. Let's see. So this one is working well. We don't have the enable foot IK stairs enabled yet. So this one works great, the default GASP settings. Now we're gonna try with the stairs. I'm not sure why it's not being set. Let me just see how. Oh yeah, I forgot to set in here. So set enable foot IK stairs. This one is going to be true as the character is entering the box event. This is leaving the box event. Disable it, compile, save, let's see. It is still snappy. Let me see if I can get this to be plugged directly into here. I'm not sure why I have a I'm not sure what I have done to make it to be snappy. I'm not sure if I changed some settings that could cause it to be snappy. Yeah, but I guess that's the one. Let me see if I can only enable this one. Yeah, now I can see the difference. Okay. So for this system right here, the character needs to be walking. That's just one thing. So if the character is walking on the stairs, set the character mode to be walking. But it is still snapping if even if the character is walking. Looks like we're gonna have to change the settings from here. We're gonna have to bind a new value. Let me just copy paste this node to see if we can change this value at runtime. Or set it to be dynamic. Maybe that's gonna do anything. I'm not sure what that does yet. Okay. Oops. Let me just set the settings to be default. Now, I think the only settings that I've changed for the stairs to work was this ones. So max offset, we change it to be this value here, just random values until you can get a result that you like. If you expose it as a pin, as you can see, you get that pelvis settings. You can make the settings I think there's not pin options. There is no property in here. Break. I'm gonna take a look at this in the off stream to see what's happening. And I'm going to update you guys on the Discord server to let you know if that problem is fixed. But that's going to look cool, because if this problem is fixed, then you can walk into the stairs and you're not going to have the snapping effect that happens when you're walking. Yeah, right now it's too much snappy as well. Let me see something here. I think that's because I've set the capsule. I've set the camera. Let me just set. Okay, let me just do one thing here. Let me just do one thing. Just one thing. Spine is 0, 1. Okay, reset the values. Not sure if the rotation is right. Sandbox character. Okay, reset the location. Let's test it out again. Let's see if that solves the issue. Okay, that's solved. So that was it. As the camera was following the character capsule, as you can see, the character's capsule is just updated as quickly as possible. As you can see, it snaps. It literally snaps to the location of where the stair is. Now, the location of the character, it doesn't snap that much as you're walking, but as the camera is following the spine and not the capsule, it's a lot more smoother, right? Now let me test it out with the default GASP settings real quick, just to see how the difference is. Nope. What is it? Where is it? There we go. Compile. As you can see, that's the difference of the normal. This is very snappy. So if you combine the two, do this and do that, it's going to switch and play. Boom. There we go. Oops, I forgot one. Oh, debug. Okay. So it's going to switch. So the IK on the normal ground is going to work. I think the default GASP is still that snappy. I think it's normal to be snappy for the default settings that comes by default. As you can see, it's snappy. But when you walk upstairs, as you can see now, the character walks smoothly. If you run, it is still going to be smooth, but I would recommend to force the character to walk, maybe. It's up to you. So that's going to be it for this dev stream, devlog. And I see you guys